Thank you to the producers who make this mess possible. So today we are talking about Rosewood. We're going to be talking about Build 41, Build 42, the many changes you need to be aware of, and specifically where the best basing locations are now compared to back in Build 41. Because some of the original best basing locations in Build 41 have gotten better, and some have actually gotten worse. So we're going to talk about that now. And hopefully help you to understand what the changes are from 41 to 42, especially if you're someone who has not taken part in the unstable version, which I wouldn't blame you for. You know, it's unstable. Without further delay, my name is Richard, and I am so glad that you could be here today. Alright, now here we are in Build 41, and thank you so much to Chester for being willing to be our guinea pig today. While he's having a snack, let's go ahead and take a look outside. Now, this is what Rosewood will look like on insane zombie population. As you can see, the zombies are pretty tightly clustered in these very, very small hordes right now. And you see that a lot in the urban-focused areas, mostly to allow you to actually sneak through. As you can see, there's a lot of big open gaps in between these hordes. But in my experience, the further you get out to the edges of town, especially out into the cornfields and other areas, the more you're going to see those tight, compact hordes turn into just a blanket of zombies all across. And it's one of the big changes between Build 41 and 42. Because what you're going to notice, and we're going to go through, of course, we're going to see both, and we're going to make a comparison here. What you're going to see in... there's nothing good in there. What you're going to see in Build 42 is that you're going to have much more of a blanket of zombies in the urban areas, and then just scattered little hordes moving around in the rural areas, which I think was a brilliant change, not only because it's more realistic, but it's also just more fun. Like if I'm a player who wants to focus on being out in the rural areas, implication there being I want to be around less zombies. Loot is obviously going to be harder to find. That's the trade-off. But it also means that, I get to be out in the sticks. I don't have to deal with as many zombies. That's the whole point of a zombie apocalypse, going out to the middle of nowhere. Now, there are a couple of areas I want to talk about in specific here. So as you can see, we're down here by the school. That's us, that little red dot right there. Here's the rest of Rosewood. Here's the prison out here, and the military base way out in the sticks along this dirt road that tends to get blocked by trees, if you ever wondered where that was. And starting with the school itself, here at Build 41, it's, surrounded by a lot of zombies, but even on insane population, you could definitely take out these little hordes just a few at a time. And it wouldn't really be that big of a deal. Especially with 3 to 4 people on the server at a time, like just playing together, you could clear through these hordes extremely easy with a couple of baseball bats and maybe a pistol, if you even feel like shooting. Nice thing about the school is it does come with this big fenced-in area. There are a couple of weak points where zombies can get in, but it's a big, big fenced-in area that you can use for farming. Downside of the school, oh come on. Downside of the school is that, it's a school. There is a small kitchen area, and there are plenty of places to get water, but what you're going to be missing are things like beds and proper furniture and crafting. All of those things are going to be missing and going to be very, very much in short supply. There's not an ammo storage. There is actually, depending on what school you invade, there is sometimes a small supply of sports equipment, baseball bats, field hockey gear, stuff like that for like pretty low-level armor, low-level weapons. So you do have a couple of options. There is some good loot, but for the most part, you're taking over a very, very large, very cool building, but you're not getting much for it. Yeah, there is a bit of food here, but not much. Like I said, this place is fairly easy to capture, especially if you have 3 or 4 friends. And that big fenced-off area is absolutely incredible to have for farming or probably for raising animals, although, again, we're in Build 41 right now. But it's also just not a great building for building a base in. It has a lot of problems. There's not a lot of loot in there off the bat. There is a lot of storage with all the lockers, but they're very distributed throughout. And more than likely, you're going to want to have one designated ammo room, a gun crafting room, a melee weapon crafting room, especially within Build 42, having all those very, very specific tools you need for weapon crafting. You're really going to want to have one dedicated area with a dedicated container and a table where you have all of your tools stored. Wow, we are getting very close to Main Street, and you can tell. One of the nice things about Build 41 is that a lot of these houses are still extremely viable. When going into Build 42, one thing I do want to pay attention to is the viability of these houses right here. There are a lot of very nice 2-story suburban houses right in the center of Rosewood here where we're standing. And whether or not they're still viable as basing locations, especially for a solo player, is going to be a really, really important thing to know. Both the church here and the courthouse that we're going to see later on have basically the same issue as the school. Very big, very nice buildings, lots of room, lots of individual rooms, and very, 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 very much would look cool as a base, but not a lot of loot inside of them off the bat, not a lot of storage in the case of the church. And overall, you're just going to have to put a lot of work into it. It would be a very cool base, but you're going to have to put a lot of work into it to make it an actual base. Let's head back to this parking lot and see if we can grab a car. Here we go. Let's take a drive through the next area that was an extremely popular location and see how it compares in 41 versus 42. Oop, okay, don't hit everything. So this is the gated community of Rosewood. Extremely popular basing location way up here in the north of Rosewood. As you can see, here's Main Street just south of us. And what makes this such a popular basing location is mostly just due to the gates themselves, along with that, the houses being big and, full of storage and food and beds, unlike the school or the church. It wouldn't take that much carpentry or metalworking skill to get a decent wall right along this path, and then congratulations, you basically have an entire gated community all to yourselves, because all of these gates go all the way around. And on the back side here that faces town, these wooden gates also block line of sight, so you don't really have to worry about the zombies spotting you and aggroing to you and attacking the fence. Just get another small wall in between this area right over here as well, and then you literally have an entire gated community all to yourself for you and your friends. Each of you can grab an individual house, and congratulations. You've now won Project Zomboid, pretty much. These backyards on every single house are huge, plenty of room for crops, plenty of room for animals. Again, plenty of fencing to keep animals and crops contained, to keep out rabbits or pests, things like that. Back in Build 41, this was one of the best basing locations. Its main issue, and I'm going to show you that right now, because this is going to be a really distinct change between 42 and 41. In Build 41, you still have tons of zombies. You can see them coming out from the woods way back here, just wandering out in the middle of random fields. This is something that Build 42 really tried to address, where urban-focused, there's a huge horde back there, urban-focused zombie populations are actually urban-focused. Now, this path does lead over to the prison, which is one of the highest population zones in the entire game. So how populated that wooded area specifically is going to be is up for some debate, and things could change before the official stable version of Build 41 launches. But one of the biggest issues that this area had in Build 41 was the fact that there were still zombies wandering in, despite the fact that you're way out on the edge of town all the time. So you were still constantly having to defend, even if you had good walls and it was still manageable. Let's head up to the north. We're going to make the Rosewood Fire Station the last place we visit, because it's just too cliched, I think. Now, another popular basing location, which is extremely difficult to take advantage of, but I think, honestly, it's popular in large part because The Walking Dead popularized the Motel base, is here at the Econo Rooms, which is one of my personal favorites, but I was also a massive Walking Dead fan. Now, this place is nice because you have tons of beds, a small place where you can access fresh water if you can get it plumbed up, which isn't too difficult, and there's plenty of them on the second floor as well. You can easily just get up to the roofs, plumb all the second floor fixtures, and everybody gets their individual sink that they can use to gain access to water. There's not an area to grow crops or keep animals, which I think is distinctly going to make this a vastly less popular place to build a base in Build 42. Not having any grass whatsoever to feed animals or to grow crops, I think is really going to hurt it, especially since they have... It's been somewhat up in the air whether it's an oversight that you can no longer have rooftop farms or if it's a conscious decision. It seems like to be a conscious decision given the fact that they still haven't fixed it. So with that being the case and you not being able to build rooftop farms anymore, I imagine this that the Econo Rooms are going to be significantly less popular in 42. But always viable, especially if you're someone who wants to be able to just launch into raids across the rest of Rosewood. It's it's a good temporary base, you know? You have plenty of second floor rooms that you can use. It still works. Taking us to the next place, this is actually where we based on the new Memphis multiplayer server. Check the Discord link in the description below if you want to join that, by the way. It's still free to join. This is the gas station. Now, immediately one of the best things about this is the fact that it comes with a chest freezer out here, and you have 2 more chest freezers just right down the road. If you want to know why chest freezers are so good and should be one of the first things that you grab, I'll have to make a video about that. But right off the bat, you have a small section with magazines where you're not guaranteed to get anything good, but having at least a small spawn for magazines and VHS tapes where you could potentially get some free XP from those is extremely, extremely powerful. And it has an internal staircase leading up to an apartment where you have an entire kitchen, bathroom, and a bedroom back here as well, on top of having a TV. Does not have a VHS player up here, though. You will have to bring in a TV with a VHS player if you want to take advantage of the VHS tapes that are, you know, here inside the building and have already spawned. You're going to have to... Ooh, there's someone with a hatchet out there. You're going to have to actually bring in a TV with a VHS player, which is a little annoying. Now, going back to the differences between Build 41 and 42, this area is another one of those open fields that tends to have a lot of inexplicable zombies just wandering in it. It actually has been kind of the bane of our existence over in the multiplayer server. Oh yeah, over there, up there. There are constantly zombies spawning in this random open field. Just entire towns' populations of zombies just wandering in this open field and constantly coming and attacking our base from behind. Not actually coming from the urban area of Rosewood, which is really, really annoying, especially when the entire point of basing out here at the gas station should be the fact that you're so far out from the rest of Rosewood. But regardless, it is still a very, very cool base. You do have plenty of room out here if you can manage to defend it. Obviously, you can see there's no walls, so you're going to have to build some, or maybe make a wall of cars. It's not really super reliable, but it can work in a pinch. But the biggest thing is that you have infinite gas out here, especially if you put a generator right by these pumps. You're never going to run out of gas on solo. And the amount of time it's going to take if you run out of gasoline, even playing on a multiplayer server, is months. You'll functionally infinite. You'll probably reset the server before you ever actually run out statistically. Now we're going to head back down south to the classic base, the Rosewood Fire Station. Take a look at that, as well as the police department, and see what the spawns look like out there. And there is something else really, really notable that actually makes the Rosewood Fire Station an even better basing location in Build 42 compared to Build 41. I really want to make sure I tell you guys about this. So going over again how the urban-focused zombie spawns in Build 41 are not all that urban-focused at all. You can see out here, we already have huge groups of zombies just wandering around in a random field out here. Random cornfields outside of town will just be filled with an entire Rosewood-sized town's worth of zombies. And it gets very annoying, especially if you have respawn turned on. They will respawn in there, and it will drive you absolutely mad if you choose to base in the Rosewood Fire Department. But this place remains one of the best bases for a reason. I mean, you have a small medical cabinet back there. There's a washer and dryer that you can plumb over in this room. You have an entire storage room back here filled with axes, military boots, gas masks, and firefighter jackets and pants, which are some of the best armor in the game, especially early on. Broken early on. The one downside is there are a lot of firefighters who themselves are pretty armored, and you're going to have to chop through that in order to actually take them out. Lots and lots of beds upstairs, a full kitchen. It's a great basing location. It still remains that in Build 42, and like I said, with Build 42's new zombie population spawns, if anything, it's an even better basing location there when you don't have to deal with zombies wandering around in the random cornfields across the road. Now we're going to look at a couple of the locations outside of town that I feel like don't get talked about enough. Number one is going to be the construction sites just south of the Rosewood Fire Station. This place is completely surrounded by this wooden fence. But yeah, you have multiple layers of fencing on the inside and the outside. Oh, that one of those trailers caught fire. So you do start with 3 trailers for you and your friends to use as bases, assuming that one of them doesn't burn down, as what seems to have happened here. Yeah, you start out with 3 trailers for shelter. You can bring in beds pretty quickly, and you have a massive fenced-in area that you can use for planting. If you bring in dirt, you can use for building whatever kind of base that you want. And you have huge amounts of forest surrounding the construction site. So if you want to go full carpentry and like live like you are, maybe not Little House on the Prairie because you are inside of a big fenced-in area. Ooh, sorry, that's my knuckles. Maybe not quite Little House on the Prairie, but if you want to just go hog wild with carpentry or building metal walls, and you want to spawn in Rosewood, this is actually the place that I would build. If you want to just build a house from scratch, this is honestly the place to do it. You have shelter off the bat, huge amounts of, oh, the zombies are just wandering in and out. Huge amounts of space, it's all very safe. You do have to watch this gate, but in all honesty, it's pretty dang strong, and it's not that hard to just replace it with a wooden one. Even just like an airlock system, you could just leave this gate here. If it gets broken, build a wooden one, and then come out here, build just a little bit more wall, and build kind of an airlock system with a second gate out here, so that even if zombies break in, they're still just stuck in an airlock right over here, and they're not going to aggro if they can't see you. So yeah, extremely safe location, extremely underrated, honestly. But let's go to one more underrated location. Here's the construction site, in case you were wondering. As you can see, it is just right by the Rosewood Fire Department, just literally around the corner from it. But let's go check out the next one that is just on the outside of town. There's just tons of zombies all throughout the woods, little hordes wandering all over the place. I'm really looking forward to Build 42 correcting that, and again, allowing the rural areas to feel rural. There is a trade-off, though, you're gonna immediately notice. Here we go. Welcome to the Rosewood drive-thru, which I think is probably the most underrated basing location. And a lot of that has to do with the zombie spawns themselves, because there's still, this isn't too bad actually, fairly high zombie population, including, especially if you have respawn turned on, all throughout here. But, as you can see, it is entirely fenced in. There are a couple of weak points you have to watch out for, but it is almost entirely fenced in here. This is a massive area. There's a huge section of grass over there that you can use. You could, in theory, fill the rest of this with dirt and expand the grassy area if you really wanted to, so you could have more farmland, more areas for animals, but that little grassy area up north is plenty large for chickens or something small off the bat. You may want to expand it if you want to get like cows, sheep, or pigs, things like that. You also need to take care of this area. There's a small building down here that you can use. This area is a weak point, but honestly, building a little section of wall just to block this off really wouldn't even be that hard. The projector room over here is super cool. There's not any real good loot out here. It kind of... Oh, the movie theater. It kind of has the same problem as, again, like the church or the school, in that there's no good loot that you can find there. You're going to have to bring in lots of storage. You're going to have to bring in all the loot and stuff. But you have so much room to build. The rural areas don't feel rural in Build 41. There's still massive amounts of zombies wandering in the woods, wandering in random cornfields, who just wander into your base at random, and you have to suddenly be defending it, when the entire population of driving out to the sticks to the middle of nowhere should be that you're not going to be bothered. Build 42 does a pretty good job of fixing that. You would probably want to knock out this staircase and build another one, unless you want to wall this entire thing off, but that's still a lot of work. But yeah, I am anticipating this area becoming one of the best basing locations, going from being one of the most underrated to one of the most popular, especially with all this room for cars, all this room that you can use for maybe like an outdoor crafting area. I mean, rain doesn't affect your stuff all that much. You have tons of fencing almost all the way around, so there's only a few small defensible areas. The zombie populations here, even in 41, are fairly low compared to the town proper. The main issue is you're going to have to actually get into the town. But that's not a big deal, A, because there's tons of cars that spawn in you can use for parts, and because B, there is a gas station right across the road from it. Let me check the map one more time just to remind you guys of where we are. Yep, we are right out here. Here's the gas station. Here's the theater over here. There's another building over here. We'll check that out. And here's Rosewood proper, so we're a little bit on the outskirts of town. Not too far that we can't just have a little jaunty stroll back in, or even walk back into town if we really wanted to. Though, going in at doing that at night, you never know what's going to pop out of the woods, even when the rural spawns are turned down. Oh, this is just like a little rest stop for the highway. That's kind of cool, though. My biggest Build 42 hot take, or what might be, I think this area down here is going to become one of the most popular areas to base for multiplayer servers in Rosewood. I really do think so. And you even have a little lake over here if you want to go fishing, if you have someone who really wants to do that. I think this is going to become one of the most popular areas in Build 42. Let's go check the zombie spawns in that, and yeah, let's do a comparison. Oh, wow. It's way darker in here than it was earlier. That took longer to download than I thought. It's I guess now about 4 gigabytes darker in here. Give me one sec. There we go. Okay. A little bit warm, but it'll do. Now, we're headed back into Build 42, back to Rosewood. Alright, welcome back to Rosewood, and welcome back, Chester. Here's where we have spawned this time. I'm immediately noticing, I didn't know there was another extra dirt road out here. The game is really heavily skewed to get you to spawn in these houses way out on the outskirts of town. I don't know why. To be clear, I spawned 3 different times before finally getting the settings right, before I did this tour on this map. And I spawned in this same house all 3 times that I restarted in order to get Chester on the right settings. So I don't know why the game is so skewed toward making you spawn in this house specifically. But when you're in Build 42, I suppose get ready for that. And it's a pretty good house. I mean, it's got a good amount of space between you and the rest of the town proper. Very few zombies. Once again, one of the things we're going to notice immediately is the fact that rural areas finally feel rural. You're not going to run into a whole lot of zombies if you're out in the sticks. But as soon as we get into the town proper, we immediately have a couple, and we are once again on insane mode. So this is already pretty much looking the same as what we saw last time as far as the zombie spawns. The only real difference is that there's significantly less of them in the actual forested area, and more of the hordes are concentrated around the actual buildings, which, you know, I think was a very, very good change going from 41 to 42. As someone who personally does like playing in rural areas and wants to go there explicitly to avoid zombies, and, you know, it's something that a lot of new players will want to do. You know, their first instinct is going to be, oh, I need to avoid the zombies. They're probably going to be in town. I'll duck through this cornfield and try to lose them. And then they suddenly find out, oh, there's just an entire town's population worth of zombies wandering in this random cornfield. I'm going to rant about this all day. If you let me, don't let me. Speaking of getting settings wrong, I forgot to turn the cars onto easy use mode. So we're just going to take a little stroll around as we try to find one that has a key in it. Yeah, I mean, a lot of this looks the same. I would say this, interesting. This area with the big 2-story houses further to the edge of town might even be a little less populated than it was in Build 41, actually, which is, interesting. Oh, no, we still got some hordes wandering around. They're in the backyards, but they're still wandering around. Also have a survivor house here. I suppose I should also mention the fact that in Build 42, there actually is a setting that makes the zombies more likely to spawn in areas with very good loot explicitly. I have kind of mixed feelings about that. On the one hand, it means that if you go to an area that has lots of zombies, it's almost guaranteed to have good loot, like this survivor house probably has tons of weapons in it, which is why all the zombies are here. On the other hand, I don't know. It's a little hard to swallow if you're someone who wants things to feel a bit more realistic. It does not quite how zombies should work, and we are really seeing the difference in the zombie spawns now. Here we are on Rosewood's main street, and I think immediately you can see the difference. And this is not even including all the zombies that are actually inside the buildings. They're all lined up out front. There's hordes all over the place, and a massive group here at this main intersection. Yeah, so here we are. We're right in the center of town where all the best loot's going to be, and of course, you know, we have a ton of zombies wandering around, going in and out of the buildings. Some of them are actually going back inside the buildings, which makes it feel a lot more safe than it really is. Going around to the back. Oh my god, yeah, wow. Wow, oh my god. Oh my god. Wow, that is insane population to say the least. Yeah, this is, you can definitely see the difference going in here, and this is really going to affect the first area that we're going to go to. Let me see if I can get a car here. Well, we'll have to keep looking for that car, but I'm sure you guys can immediately notice what I said when I said that the urban-focused zombies in Build 42 actually feel urban-focused. There are a lot more hordes wandering through here, already inside of this fenced-off area. There were a significant number of zombies beforehand, don't get me wrong, but this is just ludicrous. Yeah, we have a lot more hordes just wandering through, a lot more random zombies. Now, again, though, you do still have the real strengths of this area. You only need to build a small section of wall at each end of this gated community, and you have an entire gated community all to yourself. This is actually the base I would recommend if your friends have a habit of dumping all their loot on the ground and it annoys you. Just say, hey, go take your own house, I'll take mine, and we'll organize them however we see fit. Now, these back wooden fences here, the zombies still can't see through them, so they're not going to aggro to them, and I believe that the wooden fences, the tall ones, are still invincible in Build 42. But of course, the zombies will eventually just wander around, and they'll come over here, and they'll attack whatever wall you put in this area, so you still do have to be conscious of that. So if you're clearing out this area with your buddies and you shoot off a gun, you're going to get swarmed with all of those zombies that we saw on Main Street. So you really, really have to be careful if you want to try to take this area. But again, it's an extremely good area. And I might even say that if you're playing on a multiplayer map without respawn, this might be the best place to initially base. It's still extremely defensible. You really don't even have to take the entire neighborhood if you don't want to. You could just take this little area right here, put some cars here, and then boom, now you have this whole area, this whole house, and then use that as a jumping off point to loot the rest of Rosewood, to clear the rest of Main Street, and then eventually, I mean, if respawn is turned off, you and your friends could just take the entirety of the town using this as your sort of starter base. It could work really, really well for that. As a long-term base, it also has viability if you take the entire neighborhood. You and each of your friends could have your own individual houses, which would be cool. But you're really, really going to have to be conscious because right on the other side of this fence, there are just massive hordes. So if you dare shoot a gun off when you're inside that neighborhood, you are going to get destroyed. Okay, so I definitely didn't just go ahead and spawn myself a car so I could drive around town. I mean, it's still such a cool basing location. And again, if you get annoyed with your friends just not organizing a base in the way you want to, this is a great option. Go ahead, just take the whole neighborhood. That way each of your friends can have their own individual little houses and you don't have to worry about them. Let's take a little jaunt back here and see. Yeah, immediately noticing a difference. This forested area has basically no zombies in it now. They are significantly less of a presence. Even this area between Rosewood and the prison itself, which again is one of the highest density zombie spawning locations in the game, is just almost completely devoid of zombies. Yeah, we're looping back to the prison right now. Man, like, this, again, this is an insane population, and it is just barren. I'm not complaining, though. I mean, this is how I would like it to be. Yeah, check out these cornfields. There's just nobody. Here we go. Now we're getting over to the police station. Now they're starting to spawn in a bit. And here's the Rosewood police station right here. And oh my god, yep. There's a lot less of them in the rural areas, but boy, it goes from 0 to 60. And let me check the cornfield out here. I'm curious. Checking this field. There's still quite a few, but a lot less than there was, but they're a lot more urban focused now. They're going to be really clogging the roads and really all along Main Street now. There's a lot less. Wow. Wow, this area back here, again, insane population setting. There is just nobody in this back field. This is actually quite interesting. I thought there would at least be a few back here. Man, they really are urban focused. Now again, this could all change before Build 42 officially launches, but I really think that Rosewood Fire Station is becoming an even more viable basing location, surprisingly, now that Build 42 is out, because once you clear out those zombies, I mean, Main Street's kind of a pain. Again, if you fire a gun anywhere nearby, there is the risk of you bringing a lot of zombies from Main Street, but the major zombie spawns are pretty far from it, and there's a lot of fences, buildings, tree lines in between the fire station itself and the rest of town, so there's a lot of things blocking it. You know, chances for the zombies to lose line of sight and get bored and wander back to town. But once you get it, oh wow. Wow, there's just so many. Again, 0 to 60 with the Build 42 spawns. Wow, the motel is looking a bit different now. There's a lot more of them just hanging around. Again, you really see that sort of urban blanket of zombies just covering the high-density areas, the really high-loot, good basing locations. Yeah, they're just everywhere. Wow, they're just everywhere over. Holy... Wow. They are just crawling all over the place over here on this part of town. They're absolutely everywhere. Yeah, I imagine the motel is going to be a much more difficult place to take now, especially because, again, you fire off a gun, all of these zombies are going to be swarming you. Over here to the gas station, and yeah, more of the same. Great basing location, but, yo, you can literally see how the spawns are attracted to all the highest value loot. In this case, those are the gas pumps, you know? This is what feels weird about it, because, again, from a gameplay perspective, I get the way that this spawn is, but doesn't it just look so goofy, having them all just magically attracted to the thing that you're going to want to take first when you're looting the town? I don't know. Again, I'm going back and forth on it, because on the one hand, this is like the one area where the devs were like, we're going to put aside realism for gameplay purposes, and even then, I'm kind of, I don't know. And especially given how often in this update, in the most recent updates, they have genuinely shot, like, gameplay in the foot for the sake of realism. I am shocked that something this kind of corny looking was allowed to stay, but I guess it only needs to be realistic if it makes the game harder. Still, though, I do think it's not a bad oh wow, they all wandered over to my truck. Still, though, I don't think it's a bad change, and again, it does work from a gameplay perspective, so I'm not gonna complain about it too. Well, you guys all have fun with that. Yeah, see, that's very, very dangerous. That car alarm is going to be very dangerous. And going out of town, immediately, no zombies. You know, having just played on our multiplayer server and seeing what this area looked like, just on very high population in Build 41, this is such a change. But again, though, I like the fact that the rural areas feel rural. I like the fact that the undead humans are clustered where you would expect to find undead humans. Oh wow. Okay, we're gonna have to run over a couple. This truck is not that agile. We're gonna have to, wow. That car alarm. Oh my god. There's just a wall of them going over there. Wow. Can you imagine how devastating building alarms are gonna be in Build 42? Like, you'll just have the entire population of a town coming after you. They're even coming from the motel. All over here. Wow, they're just all in and out of the buildings. Go ahead and head south and check what the movie theater looks like. Rosewood Fire Station, again, I think could be more viable in Build 42 as opposed to 41. But, you know, with players getting bored of it, who knows if people will actually want to take advantage. Again, immediately see a difference. There's just... Oh, okay, we have... Oh, that's interesting. Okay. So there are basically no zombies on the way here, but significantly more inside the actual construction site. They're all being aggroed to my truck. That's very interesting. Oh, hey, that didn't burn down this time. That's very, very interesting. So you have significantly more of them inside the actual construction site, but significantly less on the outskirts. You know, we've been having a lot of issues with respawn over on the server and had a lot of debates over whether or not we want to actually keep it on when we're playing the game. But this actually kind of changes my mind on it. In Build 42, if we base in the construction site and they won't spawn on the outside and really try to make their way in at all, I mean, there are no zombies out here in the trees, out in these fields. There's just nobody. And again, good thing, I like that. This may be another reason to keep respawn on if we're going to do that, because there's just significantly less reason to worry about zombies coming in and invading if they just don't even spawn on the outside of the construction site. I am seeing a couple of them in the fields and forests over here. As you would expect, there is civilization. Is that Asset? Is that the same arrow from the Spiffhouse drive-thru? Sorry, anyway. Let's get to exploring. So I'm immediately noticing there's only a couple on the outside, but oh wow. Yeah, much like the construction site, there's significantly more of them on the inside of the walls. that are going to need to be cleared out. Not a whole... Oh, yeah, there are quite a few of them in here. Not a whole lot. This will probably be, a day or two's work if you're playing solo, but for a multiplayer group with 3 or 4 guys, you could clear this in a couple of minutes. It wouldn't be a big deal, even with the muscle strain. I really do think that the movie theater may become the hot new basing location, like the new classic basing location in Build 42, but oh my god. Wow. Whoa. Okay, I did not holy. For one gas station? Oh, wow. Okay. I have to admit, I absolutely did not expect that type of spawn. So it seems that while there are no zombies at all in the forests and fields surrounding this area, they have absolutely swarmed this gas station. Wow. Oh, they're going to where I hit that zombie because they heard it. Interesting. The rest area is a little bit... Oh, nope, not at all. Not at all. It's not at all better. Wow, this is absolutely crawling. I mean, yeah, this is... If you want to truly see, Build 41 to Build 42 compared, this is it. Okay, it looks like the lake is still pretty clear, though. So if you want to go fishing and avoid the zombies in the gas station, you probably still could. Wow. Oh my god. This is huge. This is probably about the same number of zombies that would have been spawning across all of these loose fields, across all of these forests, disparate areas. Now they're just joined into one big space, centralized around the loot area that you're going to want to take. And I don't know, I guess the fan base is going to have to kind of come together to figure out, do we like that? Do we want changes? How do we feel about it? But again, if you want to see Build 41, 42 compared, that's it. That's it right there. Now, before we wrap up this video, there is one more thing I want to do just for fun. We're going to head over to the prison real fast and see if we can just poke a sleeping bear and get them all to come out. Not because it's particularly relevant to the video, I'm still going to do an outro, but because it's just funny and I like to watch it. I am immediately noticing there's so few zombies out here. I would have expected more, but oh my god! Oh my god! Whoa! Oh my god, just getting to the front doors of the prison is now an issue. What? Oh my god! Look at this! God, just getting up to the prison is going to be a debacle now. We haven't even gone inside yet. Wait, let's see. Oh boy, okay, that's fine. That pole jumped out at me. Let's see if we can poke the bear. Let's see how many of them come flooding out. Okay, I think that's probably enough zombies. Seeing as the game is only comfortably able to render about a third of them. Oh wow, yeah, the frame rate's not doing so good right now. I think that's probably enough zombies. What do you think? That's probably enough. Wow, that is a lot of zombies. This is, if you want to try to take the prison on insane population, here you go. This is what you're going to be dealing with. This is about it. Wait, hang on. One sec. Can you... Excuse me. Okay, I'm gonna... Oh my god. Okay, wait, I'm sorry. I'm not gonna... I know we're here for, like, a video to, like, do something, but, like, I'm not gonna, like, leave this sitting here and not, like, pull some cheese. Petrol bomb. Okay, can I... Even the menus are starting to have some problems here. There we go. Oh my god. Yeah, just immediately turn around and it's just... Alright, let's go ahead and chuck that in there. Oh, that's just totally missed. Just totally missed. Did it go off? I can't even tell. Oh, okay. Well, now it's gone off. I can render maybe half of them at a good point. Oh, the fire noise is just attracting more of them. Okay, okay. Wow, that fire is spreading rapidly. Okay, I'll admit, I don't have the time or energy to wait for this very, very last one, but finally, oh my, wow, well, at least I got my frame rate back. Wow, that, I'm curious how the damage was in here. Well, there goes most of the building. The lights still work? Nice. Well, once we get back here, there's still a few of them on fire. Oh, wow. Oh, there's still a lot more of them on fire back here. There's still, oh, wow, there's still a lot more of them on fire back here. Okay, well, still, I mean, hey, you want to kill a lot of zombies. This is, still the way to do it. No, my zombie kill count is still 1. Well, that was, that's an interesting way to finish this off, I guess. I don't know. That's the end. That's all I've got here, guys. Enjoy seeing the inside of the prison lobby. It's so cool. Oh, yeah. Give me some pork rinds. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. We're going to end this with pork rinds. I have some interesting thoughts about all of these things. It's like, I like a lot of the new distribution. We've got a lot of things to figure out on the new Memphis server. I definitely think that having respawn on in a server is a lot more viable now, because you don't have to worry so much about zombies spawning. Well, I mean, you do have to worry about them spawning inside your base, though. I mean, I don't know. I'm going back and forth on a lot of things, but I hope this was interesting to you guys. We have a lot of things to figure out in the new Memphis server as far as where we want our bases to be and where it's cool. I really do stand by. I think that the movie theater is going to become a much more popular basing location, especially with all that room, that big fenced area, and without all the zombies like out in the woods now that can potentially be brought to you. But then that means I don't know. On the one hand, it's like if you can clear that gas station, that's all the zombies in the area, and then the movie theater becomes the ideal base. But you also have to clear it, and there are a lot of zombies there. That is quite the horde. But I mean, that's also true of most of the good basing locations, you know? I mean, we saw the regular gas station at the north of town, and that was crawling with zombies too, so no matter what, there's going to be pluses and minuses. And there definitely are a lot of things between Build 41 and 42 that have changed. I'm rambling at this point. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you in the next one.